Yeah, no, I'm humbled at the kind words and the wonderful introduction. By the way, just so you know, I absolutely hate watching that reel back there. If you ever see me in the back of the room and that thing's playing on my BlackBerry, it's because I'm absolutely embarrassed at the different haircuts I've had at the years here, right? The only thing that's changed about me is that over the past few years. You know, I guess I'll share with you a little something about how we built ViSalus and really the roots of ViSalus and where it came from. You know, when Nick and Blake came into my life for the very first time, I had just sold my company, and you know, as you heard in some of the talk there, you know, I was able to receive a fair amount of money for it at a young age, and I was in a position where I could really focus on my health. My sister had just been diagnosed with cancer, the only sister that really I had left out of all the brothers and sisters that I had that got caught up in drugs and bad situations, and she had rectal cancer when I was about 25 years old. She's 35. And, you know, I'd just come into some money, and she sat down with me and asked me if I would be the legal guardian to my nephew. And, you know, my nephew is this little boy. He's a beautiful little boy. And I remember thinking to myself, absolutely, right, no question about it. And I remember thinking, you know, what a shame that my sister might lose her life. And we spent a year with her going through chemotherapy and radiation treatment. And I remember at the doctor's offices, and I mean, I imagine many of you in this room here have experienced what cancer can do to a family, and you know how tough it can be on the family. And I remember being in the doctor's offices, and I remember you know, asking the doctor, you know, what are my odds of you know, having it be hereditary and so forth. And the doctor saying, you know, you should get a physical, you should get checked up. And he told me about this thing called antioxidants. I remember thinking to myself, you know, I've got all kinds of success, and you know, I thought I was invincible, and I thought I was, you know, indestructible and all that stuff. But something like that is something I need to think about. So serendipitously, I'm a man of faith. So I believe that, you know, we get these messages from people like myself, maybe here today, or like what happened with my sister, and we're supposed to do something with them. And you know, the stronger the message, the more action we're supposed to take. And I remember thinking to myself, well, you know, I should take some of those antioxidants. I should get focused on my health. At the time, I was 260 pounds. I'm about 193 or 4 pounds today. And I was suffering of chronic back issues. I was always throwing out my back. Men in the room here, you ever have back issues, any of you? Right? I mean, I'd rather, if you told me, Ryan, you can throw out your back or I'll chop off your pinky finger, I'd have given you my pinky finger, right? Because a lower back being out, I mean, that's being bedridden. You can't, you know, go to the restroom. You gotta cancel work, cancel Christmas, cancel everything when you throw out that lower back, like I was at least. And it got so severe because of the weight that I was carrying that I would throw it out about once every, it started at once every 90 days, and then it got down to about once every 30 days. I'd be literally on my back watching Judge Judy, you know, because that's about all that was on at like daytime. And, you know, and believe me, that was more pain than the actual back injury. If you're a Judge Judy fan, I'm sorry. But, you know, I remember thinking, what is this costing me? So I go to the doctor, and, you know, and I'm talking to the doctor about what my hereditary health situation is, about my weight and so forth, about my back issues, and I'm taking painkillers, and, you know, and the quality of my life is really being sacrificed. And yet, my bank account's full, but my spirit wasn't. So, you know, I sat there and I thought, well, maybe I'm supposed to make some sort of a change here. And sure enough, Nick Sornicola, Blake Mellon, and Dr. Michael Seidman show up and they asked me to invest in their business. They talked about the patents and the science that they had. And truth be told, not only did I see myself as a potential user of the products, because that was my first, you know, no matter what I was going to use them, but I also kind of got a kick out of the fact that, you know, when I was a kid, I was always told, you know, the best thing you could ever do is be a doctor. And I wasn't smart enough to ever be a doctor, right? Here's a doctor who's so smart, he's got patents, and, you know, he runs hospitals, and he's written books, and here he is asking me to invest in him. And if I make this investment, well then, you know, who's smarter, the doctor or the guy who writes the check to the doctor, right? You know, so for me, that's what I love about the subject of entrepreneurship. So long story short, I started taking the doctor's products, and I really got passionate about the subject of health. I hired a dietitian. I had you know, it's a person who made me food, and someone said, what's a dietitian? I hired a personal trainer. I moved to the beach in Venice Beach area, And I'd wake up at about 10 or 11 in the morning, and I'd go get my run in, and then I'd have breakfast made for me, and then I'd go to the gym, and like what most Americans can do to get their health right. You know what I mean? So like the perfect scenario. That's what I mean. That's my first recommendation to you, for those of you, and for those of you, who have all the time in the world and all the money in the world. That's the best way to do it. And as I started working with Dr. Simon and experiencing the benefits of the product, and working with Nick and Blake, and experiencing really the opportunity to create a group of educators to teach people about the subject of health and the subject of living a better life and so forth, I really just got passionate about it, and we started building By Salas. And and the subject of mentoring people, whether it be on health or on entrepreneurship, is near and dear to me, because it was through mentorship that I've been able to live the existence that I live. I mean, I did pinch myself that Jessica Biel called me in the middle of the night, and I pinched myself. I actually brought her to Omaha once upon a time for an event that we had here. And I've just enjoyed such wonderful life experiences by the grace of God, by the power of having some great mentors, and also being a great mentor to a few people along the way. So long story short, back to my sister. She was able to heal her, or she was able to go into remission when it came to her cancer. And my family really decided that we were all going to be healthy. When you think about that, in the absence of, if a family has a health plan, it has a greater probability of being a successful family, right? And I know folks in the Midwest and Omaha, right, it's about families out here. So if we really care about our families, we need to get our families on a health plan. Not a health care plan so that we get taken care of when we're broken, right? That's great, when you've already had a heart attack, you need health care. But what about health care prevention? Meaning, get the family on a plan so they don't have to get broken in the first place. You think about that, how much stronger would our families be if they were really focused on the most important aspect of the family, which is their health, right? It's not the earnings, it's not the money, it's not the this, that, and the other. I mean, the most important thing to the success of a family and the ability to contribute as a family is the family's health. And think about it when the family has a person like my sister who had health consequences. Well, she couldn't work during that year of chemotherapy and radiation treatment. I mean, think if that's the sole income provider, or our family wasn't in a financial position, gracefully to be able to provide for my nephew and so forth during that time. What does that do to a family? It causes great pain, and we're seeing that everywhere in America right now. So I kind of give you that long story about how I had a great message come to me in the form of cancer in my family, in the form of my own poor health decisions, and then all of a sudden a solution shows up, and and I really looked at it as not how do I make $1 million or $1 billion or whatever the case is. I looked at it as how do I provide the same type of services that I was able to receive to every family in America. And that was the foundation of which we built the business on. So it was 100% on that. Now, I know that not all of you are here because you have tough consequences when it comes to health. Some of you just want to lose a few pounds. And I'll share with you this. When I started the Body by Vi Challenge in July of 2009, just a year ago, I was up to about 218 pounds. So my weight had started creeping back up, right? I was down to about 192, and it started creeping back up. The reason why is I had a baby. I don't get it. I mean, I had a baby. Not like that. I mean, I had the sympathy weight that comes with having a baby, right? So, I put on a good 20 pounds. I mean, pickles and pizza were just calling me at all hours. It's the truth. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So, I put on the weight, and I started this Body by Vi 90-day challenge. In the first 90 days, I said I wanted to lose 10 pounds. Not, I wasn't committed. I wasn't going to abstain from eating out. I wasn't going to, go to the gym 7 days a week. I mean, this wasn't like my life's mission to get healthy again. I enjoyed, raising my son, having fun, and, and so forth. So I wasn't going to absolutely go head over heels and get, religious about the subject of losing weight, right? That was not my goal at first. And, pretty soon, Casey was like, wow, you're looking great. I'm like, I am? A little rib popped out here. And then next thing you know, I'm adding more gym into the regimen. and I'm taking 2 shakes a day. And then pretty soon she's like, well, if you keep looking that good, I got to get to the gym too, because one of you is either going to pull the other on the couch, or the other is going to pull the other off the couch, right? But that's pretty much how it works. So, next thing you know, we're both getting focused on our health. I've seen countless husband and wife couples join this challenge. And the wife will pull the husband off the couch because all of a sudden she starts looking hot again, and he's like, man, I don't want to lose her, right? Right? Or he's like back to his high school years again, walking around with his chest puffed out, and he's like, well, neighbors are looking at you a little different, right? And so we see that time and time again where husbands and wives literally, sometimes resistantly, do the challenge together. Sometimes they just say, hey, we need this, let's do it. I've seen families, all of them get on the challenge. Husbands, wives, kids. I mean, that's an amazing thing to see when you see families actually planning their health and their exercise together. That's what America needs. So, like I said, it's not about how much you have to lose, it's how much you have to gain. Like, for example, when I was 218 pounds, there was about half of my closet, I had a big closet because I was raised on hand-me-downs and secondhand clothing and thrift store clothing. So first thing I did is buy all the nicest clothes I possibly get my hands on. And some of these clothes were very expensive, so I had this half of my closet of expensive clothes that I could not fit into. I mean, I'm talking suits and custom shirts, and a couple of times I'd wear them and, they didn't fit very well. And one of the things I gained, believe it or not, was I got to wear those old clothes. So think about that pair of jeans that you have that you've been saving, because one day you're going to get back in those things, right? Every time you put them on, you get them over like one leg, and oh, those are going off. I mean, think about what you have to gain by getting back in that pair of jeans, or whatever it is, right? Those are the subtle things. The big thing, breeches, coverall. The big thing was, the big thing for me was the amount of energy that I had. I was able to get by on less sleep. I was more productive. I felt healthier. I mean, because my body wasn't having to carry that excess weight. I had no idea. You think about it, a pound of human fat is the size of a grapefruit. Now think about that. If you're carrying 18 pounds of extra fat on you, that's 18 grapefruits, right? Now imagine walking around every single day, all day long, carrying an extra 18 grapefruits. We've had people in the challenge shed 100 pounds. Right? We have a guy named John who's lost about 105 pounds. In fact, last night I was with 2 of the Body by Vi champions in Colorado. They're sisters. One lost 70 pounds, the other lost 65 pounds. Think about that, carrying around 65 grapefruit with you every single day. How much more work does your body have to do? How much more of its energy does it have to spend to serve those cells, right? And like I said, it's not how much you have to lose, it's how much you have to gain. What do you get back by not having to spend that energy doing that? How much better do you feel? What other projects can you work on? I mean, you can organize a sock drawer on Saturday if you want to. Man, you'll be mowing the lawn 3-4 times a week now. I'm just kidding. Hopefully you don't have to do that, right? But that said, there's so many things that you gain as a result of being able to shed those extra pounds. So there's so many benefits to it. As a CEO of the company, I had no idea when we launched the challenge that we were going to get such phenomenal results. We've helped Americans shed over 2 million pounds right now. Think about that. That's 2 million of those grapefruit. Imagine 2 million grapefruit piled up in this room here. And literally every single day, in fact now it's up to thousands of people a week are joining the Body by Vi challenge. This month alone, there'll be roughly 10,000 people that are joining the challenge, just like many of you will here tonight. And they all join for different reasons, because it's to each in your own goal, right? If your goal is to get back in those jeans, or your goal is to get healthy because you know that you got some guilt in you in terms of the health you've been keeping, it's to each in your own goals. So that's what the challenge represents. We just provide